What's good, everybody? 100 Beast Kenshi here, bringing you One Piece, chapter 893, 36th daughter of the Charlotte family, Flampe. This week's chapter was an amazing chapter. Was the chapter that we've been waiting for a long time. Chapter that I've been waiting for anyway. We spent this chapter in the mirror world with Luffy and Katakuri as the epic battle took place, and we saw the growth of these two fighters, the characterization of these two fighters in the new world. We saw the haki bloom, we saw the tears of a fool, and we saw the hearts of men. The strength of conquerors' haki, of the will of the kings of the new world, clashing and striking against each other. Great chapter this week. Let's break it down. So starting with the cover page as usual, we are still with the Tontata tribe as they're checking out their new ship, the Usolando. And honestly, I've seen enough. So let's move on. First page. Here we are back with Luffy and Katakuri. Luffy on the floor, agonizing, bleeding from the stomach after his fatal wound struck by Katakuri with the mole. And indeed, it wasn't the future sight of Katakuri or Luffy that we saw at the end of the last chapter. It was the reality. And the reality is that after some interference in the battle, Luffy was struck with Katakuri's deadly weapon, the trident, the famed weapon, Katakuri's death dealer. Luffy's in a terrible situation right now, bleeding profusely, barely able to stand up. It appears that what he was struck by was a poison dart from the aforementioned in the title of this chapter, Charlotte Flampe. And my god, I hate this character. But I understand the reason for her. At least I think I do, and I'll break it down as we progress. So as we saw last chapter, Luffy was struck in the leg by a foreign object, which we now know is a needle from the blowgun from Charlotte Flampe. And this is what caused him to basically lose his focus and made him unable to dodge that last attack from Katakuri. Now that in itself, the fact that he wasn't able to dodge that attack, it left Katakuri wanting a little bit more. It seems like Katakuri was enjoying this battle a lot more than he let on, a lot more than Luffy possibly knew as well. Although, considering that they both can sense the combat intent from each other, then they possibly do know and feel the same way about the fight, in that they want it to be a fair fight and they want to see who is the strongest of these two men. At first it seems Katakuri is unimpressed by the fact that Luffy lost his focus and was able to be struck in such a way. He proceeds to lay into Luffy, beating him like he's his daddy. Like, you lost your focus, you lost your... Let me take off my belt. You lost your footing, you lost your focus. Let me tell you about paying attention. Katakuri lays into Luffy with the galactic donuts, raining punches down upon him with the Mochi Ginchaku technique, which is basically the Mochi version of the Gatling, or maybe the Storm, because I'm sure we saw the Gatling version of the Mochi technique previously. So I would say this is the Storm, a galactic storm, a galactic donut storm. During the barrage of attacks that Katakuri is throwing at Luffy, we can clearly see that there is concern in his face, in his thoughts, and in his words that he expresses to Luffy. What is wrong, Luffy? Why did you lose your focus? What has happened to you? Throughout all of this, we have the ridiculous Flampe laughing away with her little underlings somewhere hiding in the mirror world, basically just being a nuisance to Luffy in the fight. And as it turns out, she's also being a nuisance to Katakuri as well. You know, we have these little moments leading up to it where she's talking about her infatuation with her older brother, which is borderline creepy, to be honest. Not sure what she's all about. I guess she's just trying to be a good little sister. It seems like she has other weird thoughts in her mind, if you know what I mean. Anyway, all that aside, Flampe attempts again to fire a poison dart at Luffy using her little blowgun, a silent dart as she calls it, sweet bread needle. However, this time Luffy seems to be ready for this oncoming attack as he remembers his training with Rayleigh once again. I love when we return to these training sessions with Rayleigh. Actually, I can't wait to see the training sessions with Mihawk when we get to Wano. Well, that's talk for another day, and that video is coming as well. Anyway, Luffy remembers during his training. Luffy says he can almost imagine what's happening, and Rayleigh says good, because beyond that imagination lies the color of observation haki. Become able to sense it unconsciously. And just as Rayleigh says, with eyes closed and barely enough energy to stay standing, Luffy unconsciously dodges the sweet red needle, much to Charlotte Flampe's surprise. Of course, at this point, Katakuri figures out that there is someone else, a little mouse, running around in the mirror world, causing a nuisance to this fight between men that is taking place at this very moment. Upon noticing the flying needle, the silent needle, coming from his younger sister, Katakuri proceeds to go over and have words with this young fan of his, this young fool of his. I'm not a fan of hers. When Katakuri confronts Flampe, she believes that he's coming there to give her praise for assisting him in this battle, unaware that she's interfering where she does not need to interfere. So off she goes, flying towards her brother, outstretched arms, ready to embrace in a weird way, because she wants to be told how great of a little sister she is. But this isn't the case. As Flampe approaches her brother, Katakuri does the most unthinkable thing, the most unpredictable thing. I never actually saw this coming myself. Never. I couldn't have predicted. No one in the fandom could have predicted that this would happen. Katakuri pierces himself in the stomach with the trident, with his famed weapon, the legendary Mole, and gives himself a wound exactly like the one given to Luffy just moments ago. Katakuri peels off the scarf, revealing his vicious, terrifying, and unscrupulous looking face, and he tells his little sister, "Don't you dare give unwanted support in a duel between men!" Now, upon seeing the terrifying face of Katakuri, the teeth, the menacing wolf-like bear teeth, lion, tiger, whatever creature holds these forms of teeth, a barracuda, shark, teeth man coming towards her, Flampe is frightened beyond belief, her fear itself throwing her back against the wall of the mirror world, and also this fear throwing her senses, her loyalty, and her own sense of family out of the window. In this moment, after proclaiming herself to be Charlotte Katakuri's #1 fan, the favorite sister among all the Charlotte family, to the best big brother, to the most perfect big brother in the family, she turns on him completely and utterly. She's disgusted by the blood that he's covered in after striking himself with the famed trident. She's disgusted by his appearance, by these teeth of a vicious animal, man, creature, thing that she can see before her. She refers to his mouth as a pelican eel. I'm not sure what if one of those are, if they're real or just a one-piece creature. Doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is, because of what she has seen, she's turned on her brother completely. Spitting in his face, spitting on his legend, spitting on his status as the perfect big brother, and spitting on the fandom that she herself created and perpetuates among the Charlotte family. Her outrage brings back a solitary memory for Charlotte Katakuri of him as a child being referred to as the pelican eel by other children in the Big Mom pirate territory. I don't know if those were other siblings or just other children that lived in Totland at the time, but they show genuine fear towards Katakuri, as well as disgust by his appearance. And so, after seeing this flashback of him being shunned by his peers from such a young age, it kind of makes sense now why he is such a loner in all of the things that he has done leading up to this point, in the way that he handled each situation, from when he entered the scene at the very first time at the tea party. Instead of giving orders to the family and drawing everyone around him to help with this situation, the assassination attempt against Mama, he took it upon himself and acted alone simply because he is just used to acting alone. That's what he's been doing since this young age, when all of his peers were running away from him because they were afraid of his appearance and his monstrous strength. And so he walks away from Flampe and returns to the battle with Luffy, with Flampe's little fodder people taking pictures, Flampe saying that she's going to tarnish his name amongst the fan club and take pictures and show everybody what he really looks like. I don't think Katakuri cares about this at this point. In fact, the removing of the scarf and revealing of his face was perhaps him freeing himself from a prison, a self-made prison that he had created to hide himself and his imperfection from his family, so that he wouldn't have to be feared and shunned by those around him just for looking the way that he does. And it seems like this is in fact a deliberate parallel with Charlotte Pudding as well, because she appears to be the only member of the Charlotte family with the third eye. And I've actually been thinking about this, and everybody has been considering the fact that she is from this three-eye tribe, because that is what Mama refers to when she talks about Pudding's third eye, and the fact that this eye can potentially hold the power to read the poneglyphs. However, if we go back to that chapter, Pudding's facial expression when Big Mom mentions this, it leads me to believe that there is no three-eye tribe. That Pudding is a mutation in her own self. She is the only three-eyed person in existence. And she has used her devil fruit ability, the Memo no Mi, to change Big Mom's memory, so that Big Mom believes that she is a member of this three-eyed tribe that does not exist, that is able to read the poneglyph. Time will tell if there is a three-eyed tribe. If there is, then I would think that the Straw Hat Pirates would come across other members of this tribe as they progress on their journey. But that is perhaps a discussion for another day. Katakuri returns to the fight with Luffy and offers his apology for the interference of his young foolish sister. To which Luffy replies, "In a duel between pirates, there is no such thing as playing dirty. Not being able to dodge was my mistake." Echoing the words of Shanks from the very beginning of the story, Luffy maintains all of the lessons that he has learned throughout his journey across the seas of the One Piece world. And in this moment, we have acknowledgement from both combatants of the strength and the honor of both of these men who are engaged in this battle at this moment. And we see for the first time in a long time an epic, very, very epic and satisfying clash of conquerors haki, two kings amongst men exerting their will upon the world of mirrors, destroying all around that surrounds them. The only other instance where conquerors haki affects the environment was where Shanks boarded Whitebeard's ship, and in a display of power to show his status as Yonko of the sea, his will overpowered the fodder members of the Whitebeard crew and damaged the ship itself. The clash causes the rubble in the mirror world to raise up and be destroyed, almost forging a new arena around these two fighters where the true battle will take place, and those noisy, interfering fodder people in Charlotte Flampe and her underlings, they are put to sleep so that they can interfere no longer, which is a godsend. And as much as I would have liked to have seen Katakuri just land a galactic donut right into Flampe's jawline, he's not going to do that. As we saw with Brule, Katakuri cares about his family greatly, and he's not known as the pillar of the Charlotte family for no reason. He is the one who protects them when Mama cannot. An epic clash and a very satisfying chapter for me, and I hope for you as well. I hope you enjoyed this chapter as much as I did this week. Please do let me know in the comment section below what your favorite part of the chapter was, your thoughts on Flampe, just any thoughts that you might have. Would be greatly interested in hearing. And of course, the fight continues. The real fight begins now. I'm pretty sure next week we're not going to return to the mirror world because we still need to wrap up the whole cake thing on Liqueur Island and the rendezvous on Cacao Island. Smoothie still needs to do something instead of being introduced all the time. Going back to Luffy and Katakuri, they're both facing off at the moment, both with this fatal wound. Both have been fighting for about 6-7 hours now, maybe longer. Difficult to tell the time. Both of them seem to be on equal terms at the moment. Now, one thing I'm curious about is we've seen Katakuri use his mochi to put himself back together after being blasted in half by Vinsmoke Ichiji. We've also seen someone like Doflamingo give himself first aid and stitch his own organs inside his body after being struck with the gamma knife from Trafalgar Law. So it's my thought that if Katakuri's mastery of his devil fruit is as far or even beyond Doflamingo's, perhaps there would be a way for him to apply some sort of first aid to this wound that he's created on himself. Conversely, if Luffy were to perhaps reach some sort of awakening or heightened mastery of his devil fruit ability due to the fires of this extreme combat situation that he's in, then perhaps he himself could use his devil fruit to maybe turn the surface of the wound into rubber and keep it closed, enabling him to perhaps even enter Gear 4th. Because how is he going to enter Gear 4th with this wound? If he does, then it will probably tear right open when he blows himself up. Unless he were to turn that surface area into rubber, keeping it together so that he can inflate himself and become Gear 4th in order to land a decisive blow against Katakuri. Let's see how it plays out. Anyway, I'm vastly interested in seeing the climax of this battle, seeing the climax of Whole Cake Island as well, given this whole revelation with how this fight has progressed to the point where it's now possible to see victory for Luffy. We now need to see what the outcome of the cake being delivered to Big Mom is going to be. I mean, everyone who's eaten this cake has fallen unconscious and entered nirvana due to the sweetness and deliciousness of this magnificent piece of baked goods prepared by Sanji and Pudding and Chiffon. If it has the same effect on Big Mom and she's knocked unconscious, what then? The Straw Hat Pirates would still have the Big Mom Pirates to deal with in terms of escaping from Totland. And at this point, considering that the Big Mom Pirates know that the Straw Hats were responsible for bringing the Tamate Bako box into Whole Cake Island, which was filled with dynamite, which was in fact the reason for Whole Cake Chateau being blown to smithereens and falling and nearly killing a large number of the Charlotte family members, then I doubt that they would allow the Straw Hats to leave. And for the assassination plot, the Fire Tank Pirates, they're possibly in even bigger trouble than the Straw Hats. All the same. There's a lot of questions remaining for the Whole Cake Island arc, and a lot of interest remaining for myself as well. I have been enjoying this arc. In the beginning, I was a little bit salty because I wanted to go straight to Wano Country, I thought that was going to happen after Zone, but I'm happy with the outcome that has come about so far. I never really place any kind of expectations on Oda or the story of One Piece. I do like to speculate and think, wow, maybe this could happen or that could happen. That's just the nature of a One Piece fan. You know, if you've been reading the story from the beginning, then there are so many questions and speculations that if you're not asking any questions, then what are you reading? Needless to say, I am, as always, excited to see what is going to be coming next around the corner in the next chapter and beyond. This chapter, 10 out of 10. First 10 out of 10 of the new year. First 10 out of 10 of the new channel. I don't think I could give this chapter any less than 10 out of 10. It was just magnificent. It built the hype. It delivered on the promise of the battle of men. It silenced Charlotte Flampe. It showed us the will of the conquerors of the new world. It showed us the strength of Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will become the Pirate King. Thoroughly impressed, thoroughly enjoyed this chapter. Thanks everybody for tuning into this review. Thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you to everybody who comments. Please do like the video if you like my thoughts on this chapter. Please do comment if you want to add to the thoughts on the chapter, if you want to have the conversation. I will be here, I will be reading. And please, if this is your first time here, subscribe to my channel. Help me to grow so that I can maintain my presence here and bring you the content that I know you would enjoy and that I enjoy myself as well. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and of course, remember, a sword slash to the back is a true shame to a swordsman.